Okay, we are back once again. Hope
Hello.
everyone had a nice time with Christmas. If you're watching this
Yeah.
now or in the future, nice holidays, whatever you were celebrating. We didn't have a mainline game this week, unfortunately, but we will have just as it was quite fun last week. We're doing another little evening at court for Calicindir. Just a little bit more political roleplay. Dig our heels in, enjoy the festivities before the Kingfishers head off to Zakir again to try and reconvene with Cors, etc. So, last we left off, the morning court had happened. You had met some political figures, Arakos of the Rindleton courts, the Savo Regin of the King of the Lorthanians, Varad, your new ambassador to the Bellerin Goliath tribes. Elstine, Savo Regin's daughter, came to court. You also met the young and aspiring inventor or entrepreneur Broxton Freetail, and his partner, who was not present at court, Artis Lightshield. You met Canon Dear Cedra and heard of his son Sakam and of his father Ire. You saw that you'd missed an opportunity to speak to West Farad of the Favendel, the Fist of the Mountain from there, but there is time still to do this. You adjourn for your lunch as everyone goes around their ways to do what they will of an afternoon. Hey Cal, what's up? How you doing? How was your holidays?
Hey, Carl. Hope you had a good break. Well, if you had a break. If not,
Yeah, I hope you had a break.
yeah.
I barely have a break at work, but
Yeah.
you give it a bit of time, and the trumpets blare once more, signaling that people are to return to the courts to hear more petitions of the king and to give more petitions. There is a nicer charcuterie board brought in for this to show people to pick at. Some people are not present as they once were, but a few have shown up. A few familiar faces. So break. Good to hear, Cal. So, as you make your way in, Everett looking all the more tired as hour by hour goes by. The evening courts take place. There is a lot of new faces strewn around
Okay.
as people get announced one by one, similar enough to how when you all first entered. There is a few names that do strike a chord in your brain as perhaps something to make note of. As walks through a human man, quite old, maybe close to 50. Barely any hair on top, but the sides are salt and peppered. Many scars. Looks like, from the walk and way this man moves, you assume military man. As he gets announced, you hear Edrol Muzz, Commandant of the Burton Navy.
Oh.
I will put the name in the chat for you.
Okay. Interesting. Edron Muzz.
And then, as for he walks through, you do see a very, very graceful woman walk through in this half-plate armor. No weapons at her side, but you hear someone proclaim, Yennefer Morphine, Lady Commander of Burton Military. For now, it appears that these are the only two sort of new ones, but Canondeer is here. There are, different folks gathering through. There is a certain, attentive watch that has come to this, where people are making note of why the commander of both the naval forces and the land forces of Burton have come to court this day. Even you, I would say.
From the way that they entered and the way that they're conducting themselves so far, does it seem very purposive that they've entered? Like, very clear reason why they're here? Or is it more just like they're attending court?
Edrol looks like he has come for the charcuterie board. He makes a beeline to it. But Yennefer, she looks very official. Look,
Okay.
I'm down bad for a charcuterie board. I understand it. And
Look,
thank you
put
for
any
the
cheese in
lurk,
my way and I'll eat that.
Pixelated Bunny. Thank you for the lurk.
Yeah, we appreciate everyone, lurkers and all. Um, yeah. Okay, so she's from what you like, well, from what Calicinda can make out, very much here on business more than pleasure.
Yeah,
Like,
she's not here for the charcuterie board.
yes, yes. Okay. In terms of people who are here or not here, are there any noticeable absences from earlier in the day?
So Elstine of Lothric is here. Her father, Sylva Regin, has retired for the evening. She is in a very much more formal gown, no longer in any form of travelling attire. She appears to have gotten her hair in a very nice braid, the purple being strewn throughout it. She is already quite the socialite, making her way around, talking to people. You're not sure if it's to be put on forever to show that she is capable of maintaining herself at court, or if it is just a natural, innate characteristic of hers.
Okay. Does there seem to be like a bit of a break in like the current proceedings?
It's kind of like a lull as people get announced. I'm not going to go through all the minor nobility of Burton.
No, of course.
But no, most people are mulling over themselves. Everard himself is talking to a couple of advisors. Until about, I would say, it's close to maybe 20 minutes after when people kind of perk up for the next name to come through. You do hear for so Kyle, this is a mini interim Kingslayers of Calicinda at the Burton Courts. So it is canon. It's just a little filler right now.
Yeah, a little filler whilst we wait for the main game to resume. Hopefully soon.
So a towering Loxodon man comes through as someone proclaims Nodjun Nium, Master of Commerce. You get the feeling that while Everett is the king, if you gotta get something built or establish trade or taxation, Nodjun is the one to speak to.
Ooh.
And seems to, maybe it's the air of authority around him, but there is a lot of respect for the name as people hush when they walk through.
Okay.
He's older, looks to be quite, maybe close to his 270th birthday. He has a thick cane that almost if it wasn't for the supreme marbling on this floor, it would leave dents in a common wooden floor. He puts a lot of weight on it.
Would it be safe to assume that this guy here is the boss of whatever his name is, the treasury guy?
Rickler? No, but they would probably have to work in conjunction, because if the Lord of Commerce decided something had to go on, it would be have to clear with the Lord of the Treasury.
Yeah.
You have an unfortunate feeling that Rick Lear doesn't have many bosses other than Everett.
Yes. He answers to one person alone, and he damn well makes sure everyone knows that. Yeah. Okay.
After this, the court then comes to a hush, and people have a chance to intermingle for a while.
Yeah, to socialize. Seeing as I didn't get a chance to introduce myself before, do I see what's his name? Wes Farad around? From Lavender?
Make a perception check. I also have my nice fancy new resin set to be rolling today, which I will be rolling. Ooh, very fancy.
Very fancy. Okay, what is my roll? What is my modifier? That's an 8 all up, actually. It's not very good.
It's quite crowded in here. You don't see Wes, as of now, at the very least.
Okay. Calicinda, in that case, will probably just try and make his way over to, like, probably where there's a servant, like, handing out sort of, like, drinks or something, just to sort of grab one and try and just sort of mingle with some of the other people in, like, a group.
Okay. Give me a general charisma
if it seems
check.
like there's no one. General charisma? Okay. Ooh. That is a nat 20 plus 3.
Yeah.
So,
you, like a social comedian, you make your way in, and it's quite easy to mingle into a group. Also, Kyle, holiday was very good. It was short. I only had one day off over Christmas.
Yeah.
It was very good.
Holidays been good. Just very busy for myself, coming off work and then going straight into like back-to-back family and friends stuff. So good, but busy, but good, and very hot here as well.
So,
Not
as
bad.
you set yourself up and you make your way through, various people strewn around. There's a couple groups you can make your way into. There seems to be a round conversation happening between a few people. You do see Arakos of Rindleton, the young prince, is talking to a group of minor nobility. It appears to be that the talk is kind of more on their relation, and he's explaining how logging doesn't really work that well in Rindleton's territory, because he's trying to explain the WoW to people who've never visited. And
Yeah, like
it's
this is a magic forest, guys. It will attack us if we log
yes.
it.
Yeah. Then you find both Yennefer, Marfine, and Edrol are kind of talking by themselves together. It doesn't appear to be a super secretive or hush up conversation, but they're more like going over reports, being like, how has the borders been here? Like, how's the like pirateering? It appears to be very like catching up on something that they probably should have done a long time ago to coordinate the military's efforts, but it's it is something to be
various reasons.
Edrol Mulls would also be someone you'd want to speak to if you had any curiosities about the naval blockade of Thinlock.
Yes. Okay. I'll probably Carson will probably make his way over to those two, considering they seem to be a bit, outliers at the moment, easiest to reach.
As you see Edrol, he looks towards you. He's like, maybe stands like 5'9", not the tallest for a human. The hair is like very salt and peppered. The top is like, is nothing on top. The shine is affable, and the build on him though is a lot of muscle. He has seen battle. He has seen many battles. By his stature, you feel he's probably lowborn. Just by looking at his hands, like he definitely looks like he's lived a harder life, even before the military. Whereas Yennefer Marfine, the half elf, she is tall, lithe, very beautiful, like a dusty blonde hair, braided down into like a kind of braided up into like a crown braid, just taking in everything that's around her, trying to be practical. As you walk over, Edrol looks over at you and he goes, "Well, I suppose I have to thank you for the tip-off for my ships in Thinlock."
Yes, I hope that's been going quite all right.
The young Prince Saladin has done an apt job, I have heard, of keeping it locked shut tight.
Right, perfect. That's everything we wanted, I guess. Have you been there yourself to oversee any of it, or?
When we first established it. Since then, I had other places to maintain. There has been a few border skirmishes near the Ethereal Sea with pirates near Sithasa.
Right. Of course. I'm curious if your official reports on Thinvale detected anything that we didn't know, or anything you're at liberty to share at the very least.
Give me a persuasion check.
That's a 21.
So he takes a long swig from his wine. Not really how you're meant to enjoy it, but it's how he is enjoying it.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm to be frank, I suppose it's no reason being coy with you. You're the one who gave the information after all. There is an undead presence which we have confirmed on the shores, but the unsettling nature of the island, there is a phenomenon that we haven't seen before. There is no sunlight above the island. There's been constant raging storms battering down on our ships.
Right.
Only within about we've confirmed it only affects about 6 miles off the coast of Thinlock on each side, but it makes visibility quite difficult. There's a dense fog as well.
Right, I can imagine. That does make sense, considering what we do know about the presence of undead there. Tell me, how much in your reports how much were you told about the overall situation on the island itself?
I was aware that it was overrun by undead, and many speak of the atrocities that they assume happened, but it is mostly hearsay. Thinlock was a small settlement at best, a small foothold that could almost fall off the face of the world, and very few people would ever notice. Their population alone was only a couple hundred, but a couple hundred is perhaps a bit too many to be turned into undead. Not to mention the graveyards alone that would be there from previous generations. It is an ancestral home to those people. There could be many more there. But its population has never swelled too much, as they just don't have the room for it.
Concerning, nonetheless. I do find myself in the possession of some information that may be, I suppose, quite relevant to you. I've learnt, and this may be nothing but rumors in the long term, but I do believe this can be trusted, that Thinvale is, well, being led by a very powerful vampiric undead.
Vampire? Do you know the name of this vampire?
I'm trying to remember when Joranvir told us of the name. Did he say to keep it secret with any of this stuff, or like as if it was a hush knowledge? Or
you feel like even if it was that these are well, give me an insight actually, I suppose.
Yeah,
an insight.
That is 14.
I feel like this is part of the type of person you can trust.
Okay.
For this sort of information. If you ever trust him, you feel like you probably can.
Yeah. The name is Merrick Cath.
Merrick Cath.
Merrick Cath. I understand the name is Merrick Cath. Have you heard of that name before?
No, he hasn't, but Yennefer is going to have a look over at you. She does. She kind of cocks an eyebrow for but a second. Give me a perception check to see if you even see it.
16.
Yeah, you see it. You clock it.
Mm-hmm. You know of him?
Well, you could say this, I suppose. Perhaps a little bit. Marek was did not spend long, but I heard of him.
Right. What did you hear about him?
He was not a low-ranking member of the military before my time, but he was a part of the Burton military. He court-martialed, supposedly, dishonorably discharged.
Right. And then just disappeared off of all records?
Not all records. He is rumored to have fled north to the Ceruvian once upon a time. It was rumored he met up with, and this is just me wanting to get the name correct. That's not it. An order of knights somewhat obsessed with the undead. They call themselves the Ghost Knights of the Ceruvian.
The Ghost Knights of the Ceruvian. Huh.
Or called themselves. Their movements have been unheard of in many, many years.
Very interesting. I suppose that adds up then. If he is the one in charge of Thinvale.
Maybe he found the Ghost Knights.
Maybe he did. Maybe he did. I mean, that is all the more concerning, if that is true. But from the sounds of things, the blockade is in good hands with Prince Saladin.
I hope. I hope. He is impatient.
Do you think he'll act rashly on the blockade?
I don't think so. The boy knows to listen to his superiors. Was Yennefer kind of goes, well, he has tried to petition me to bring enough men to storm the island, but he has been met with a resounding no from his brother.
Right. I've never met young Prince Saladin before. Is he a very militaristic individual?
He squired with me for a few many years. He did 5 years under me. He is
Right.
well trained with a sword. He has some argue he is the better of the two brothers with a weapon. He also learned his mother's blade song, but he never sought to give it up, so to speak.
Right. Right.
I think he's
So,
better with the
well
blade
suited.
than the song, but he is.
So at the very least, well suited to his current position and job. At the very least.
At least.
Have you heard any recent reports on the blockade?
Last I checked, my commander. I'm gonna get a name. Sounds like the Geico lizard. In what way? I don't know what the Geico lizard sounds like. Is that a bad thing?
I'm very curious now.
I've never seen it.
I'm really curious.
Like me in general, or just the voice I was doing there?
The voice.
Um,
Des, you sound like a lizard.
I am a lizard person. You got me.
Yeah, look, this stream we've confirmed the
Sponsored by
identity of
lizard
Des.
people.
Yeah, Des is a member of the underground lizard people.
The commander Xanros.
Just the voice. Okay. So not the looks then, at least.
Not the
That's
looks,
all
at least.
Right.
He is the ship that Saladin is stationed on. The arm of the bay.
Mm-hmm.
That's armor of the bay, just so the voice. That's it. It's a pretty large ship. It's quite the powerhouse. It moves a lot of troops.
Yeah.
It's the kind of ship you'd want in a blockade because it's got a lot of room for supplies.
Yeah. So that's Saladin's flagship.
Well, it's Xanros's and Saladin is on it.
Xanros. Right, yep. So is Xanros leading the blockade or is Saladin?
Saladin is leading the blockade under the orders, but the captain of the ship is Xanros. But the ships are being coordinated by Saladin.
Alright.
He does not have his own flagship as of now. He is not ever been one for the naval command, other than his squireship with me. But he is
Right.
he knows the ropes of sailing and should be more than capable.
Perfect. I'm curious, actually. Do you or have you discussed any long-term plans about dealing with the situation in Thinfair?
You can't starve out the undead.
No. That is a good place to start.
We are waiting on orders from Everett. He has ordered the blockade for now. I think he was, in a sense, hoping you all would provide more information if you were able to retrieve it. He doesn't want to send us in blind. The plan was originally to go in until the first whispers of the Darrakul happened in Vrendenwell.
Yes. Speaking of which, I assume you, turning towards Commander Marfing, I assume it was you that received those reports and put the blockade of the city in place.
Yes, I hope Letara was very good to you all.
I think I'm trying to remember, what was the name of the commander in
Commander
charge?
Letara.
Commander Latara. Yes, Commander Latara seems to have done a very capable job of enforcing the blockade.
Very good. And Ciris is working under her way to make your circle?
Yes, I assume by now I think she would be very well on her way to completion. I'm trying to think, how many days has it been for the...
Been about 2 months. Got about
2 months. Okay, yes.
Another 9 months.
Another 9 months. Still a while to go, but I think she's still making good progress on that. She seemed very capable from when I spoke to her last. Thank you for lending such a capable alchemist for such a trivial job in comparison to what I'm sure you have going on.
There is many whispers. I have tracked your movements through Ulden and Crosspost, respectively.
Right.
As we saw signs of involvement of the ghouls in each. Tell me, did you have any of the anything to do with the ghouls in Dovran?
In Dovran? Where's Dovran?
I'll point out not yet.
Put me on the map. Where is it? Ah, no, I think is this the first time we've heard of it, Des?
This is the first you've ever heard of this.
Oh, no, I'm not even aware of. There were only guns in Dovran. What happened?
I do not have the reports. That is part of the Morabir clans. I only know from my father. He is high up in the Morabir military.
Right.
If you can call it that, I suppose. But there was about, I would say, 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, a fever outbreak, and there was a very perhaps it is just how they dealt with it, but they claim to have put it down quite quickly. Mind you, they share the information that we have sent to them, of course. But
right.
They found evidence of, I believe the term is a Shadowmancer.
Correct. Shadowmancer in the Morabir, that is quite unusual. Did they discover how the Derrickle emerged?
They believe they can trace it back to an individual who went by the name of Fick or Yannick. One of two.
Was that the
Yeah, that Fick was
okay.
Yeah, that is the Yannick Fick. That is could be either. Those are both personalities that Yannick, the fortune teller, has assumed.
Right. And did they kill this individual?
No, it was a fortune teller who left town just before everything happened.
The same unresponsible for Brendanwell.
Perhaps.
Hmm.
Perhaps.
Well, high chance of it. That individual was at Brendanwell and fled shortly as the quarantine was put into place. We had reasons to suspect him before we could apprehend him for questioning, though. He escaped the city. So I think it is reasonable at the very least to place everyone on high alert.
I hope so. It should be dealt with, I am told. It is not, especially now that the season of free travel has been, for anyone not of the Morabir, it is difficult to get information back and forth.
Right.
We'll have to wait for spring to hear anything.
Well, I suppose all of your garrisons everywhere will be looking for an individual fitting that description, so probably be lying low now for the next few months.
We just hope that the track isn't leading north and we may see them pass their crosspost and make their way out of our territories.
Hopefully not. Now, I'm curious, Yennefer, are you in charge of most internal security here within the Kingdom of Burton?
No, not internal, not within the city.
But within the territories outside the city?
Within the territories of Burton, yes. But the day-to-day of the cities is not mine. It's mostly the mobilization and use of the military that I weigh in on. I command the troops, so to speak.
Right. I'm curious if King Everett has presented you with any. I'm curious, actually. Did we tell King Everett about the Gromothir? We did, didn't we? Yes, because we contacted the not either Valna or Valois, whoever is the headmistress.
Valois, not Valna.
Valois. Okay. Sorry about that. That constantly trips me up. Valois, and told her the end contact. That's right. Has King Everett informed you of any recent security information we passed on about a potential lich?
Yes, we have quarantined off Irisphere.
Mm-hmm.
It was grim when we got there.
Any signs or markings in the area? Or just butchery?
A lot of magic. A lot of it was burnt. Razed to the ground.
Right.
It was,
we do find ourselves more than likely crossing paths with the one responsible. But unfortunately, we do not hold too much information at the moment.
Well, if you need help with that, you can ask. If they ask you to burn another city, we can expend the men needed.
That was what I was hoping to inquire about, is that if we needed support on that. Good to know. Once we learn more, though, I imagine. Thank you for that. I'm curious for the two of you, though. One of the reasons I came over here, actually. Is there any particular reason why you're in at court today, this evening, or is this just part of your scheduled duties as commanders?
Edra kind of passes a knowing look to Yennefer and back. Well, I have been asked by Prince Saladin to petition Everett to allow advancement into Thinlock. I'm here to petition for that.
Right.
And Yennefer says, well, I am here to provide a full detailed report of the survivors in Irisphere.
You met with them?
There was a handful at best.
Do you know who survived?
I can check. Is there someone specifically you're looking for?
Any of the named NPCs that we met there?
You're gonna need to do better than that.
If any of the... Okay, let me just scroll up to the Irisphere section. God, where is it?
We managed to save and rescue a one Tara and a Desali.
Right, Desali.
Yeah. Of the name people. That was the one who was running the derby.
And Tara was the lawmaster?
Tara was the lawmaster.
Okay, yep. So definitely it is confirmed now. Rest in peace, Loxodon, Innkeeper.
Severin is dead.
Severin, rest in peace.
Rest in pepperoni.
Okay, and rest in pepperoni, Sestra as well.
Yes, Sestra is also gone.
Right.
You can't save them all.
No. We have been in contact with two mercenaries that were there as well, by the name of Derek and Nagel. well, Derek. Nagel is
We saw
to be
them on their way out.
returned.
That's unfortunate. I'm sorry your friend was killed.
A lot of people died in Irisville.
Some
I hope to make it right that it won't happen again.
3,068 people. Which is just about the population bar like 8 of Irisville.
Destroyed in an entire night.
It's morbid to say, but it's impressive.
It
It is awful. It is powerful. But
horrifying.
it is impressive.
The one who did it is set upon a very dark path at the moment. And that is something that we'll be turning our attention towards. Although I must admit the situation at Thin Vale has also been on my mind as of late. There's a lot of...
As Edros kind of pipes up. There was hope you would be helping us deal with that in a sense. You are the primary source of information. We expected to see you at the blockade, I won't lie.
We have been indisposed of late on other business important to the overall security of Burton and to the region as a whole, and indeed the world. I'm unsure as to how much King Everard briefed you both on the overall threat behind everything.
We have been briefed. As you're talking about this conversation going on, there's a shadow that looms over all of you very, not suddenly, but slowly as it makes its way over. You look back, there is the close to 8-foot Loxodon man. I must beg my pardons here. My interest lies with the young Prince Carlos India.
Najun, I heard.
At your service, the Master of Commerce and Trade.
A pleasure to meet you. I was hoping to speak with you this evening when I learned that you would be attending.
I'm not one for staying out too late anymore. Please, may we have a seat? As he gestures over to one of the side areas. So, I'm sorry.
Just gives a nod to with both the commanders. A pleasure.
Yeah. He ushers you away as he makes his way, takes his seat down, and he turns, positions himself so he can and he just goes into free fall and lets himself get to the bench and gives you a little bump as you get down.
There's a little rumble as he just pulls into his chest.
Yeah. As he still leans on his cane, leaning forward. I do not wish to bog you down with official business too long, Prince Calasindia, but I assume I have seen most of the paperwork that has come through for RIL for replacement and refurbishment, and your steward currently there's been Sparrod. There's been a change, and I've got the paperwork for that too. Not the matter, but I assumed RIL as a settlement, so to speak, not just a keep. As you've brought Starless, I must admit, as the Lord of Commerce and Trade, not only do I have interests that lay within trade with your people, but I have interest for your intent with RIL. As it sits quite close to the ocean with no dock, quite close to Vrendon with poor roads.
Well, that is quite a pertinent issue. I had intended to address this with you, so even better that we deal with it early in the night. I think as to the matter of RIL, well, RIL is a city, or a town, or whatever it will be, I very much intend for it to be more than a keep, as you may have noticed. At this stage, it's grown, I think, a bit more rapidly than even I anticipated for. But I fully intend to grow it and develop the infrastructure and economy of the nearby settlements and area. I have already made plans to restart the mines that
Start
have long
the
been
mines.
disused.
It's my understanding that those mines ran dry about over 100 years ago. What makes you... Do you have reason to believe that they should be opened again?
Yes, as well. I have links, understandably, of course, within the Starless, my people, who have a intimate knowledge of underground systems and caves and the like that surface dwellers may not have. As well as recently, I have made something of a partnership, an alliance with the Goliath tribes of Beleren, who have volunteered to lend their services, expert miners all, in helping to restart the mines, and who have assured me of their credibility.
Yeah. You'll need roads then. You'll need
Indeed,
watch posts, and you'll need a port.
a port is
Oh, hey, Crimson.
high on the list.
Hope you had a nice
Hey.
Christmas. How you doing? We're doing a little bit of a political roleplay. Calicinder's having a day at court today. We're talking trade and commerce, ports and roads.
As vital as any D&D combat.
Yeah.
But just hello to anyone who's also new
Yeah,
that's
hello.
come in. Welcome,
Hope you're all
welcome.
having a good day.
Yeah. Yes. Port is a requirement. A proper road through to Vrendenwell at the moment. Now that the blockade has been lifted from the city.
I believe you're about, I want to say about 8 miles, 6 miles out from the shoreline. And it is
Correct.
your direct south is cliff, but you have a small little inlet of water that could work as a port to your southwest.
Mm-hmm.
Your of course the if you have a if you can provide me with proof that there is, how would I put it, life in the veins of that mine, I can do my best to try and grant you some crown grants for the building and construction of these things.
All right.
What
Very well.
resources do you know is at your disposal?
Brief rundown, Des. What do I know?
You've
At
got
the
a bit of forestry, you've got
Yeah,
a
agriculture.
little bit of
Right.
agriculture, a little bit of grain. You're not
Well,
focused on
as-
anything.
Yeah. As I'm sure you know from any censuses you've done of the area, or any information that you probably have, it is a rather undeveloped area of the countryside. There is some very basic agriculture, forestry and the like, but very much without direction and without any form of development. So, if there is indeed, well, life within the mines, then that would be a clear direction to move in. It lies in proximity to Vrendenwell, which is also an agricultural heartland, so it would make sense to also pursue that. Connect through to Vrendenwell and its purpose. But as well as also a potential sea link through to Burton, through to Vrendenwell.
Brindlewell has lacked a port for many years. If your mines do have life in them, it wouldn't be a poor idea to get the more important stuff from Vrendenwell shipped through RIL.
Precisely. And at the moment, all ships going from Sathasa and further north from Burton have to make that journey with a few stops along the way. So there's another safe port, there's another safe harbour. Serok, of course, not counting amongst such places.
No harbour, no safety.
No. So it just makes perfect sense for that as well, for any trade passing through. But absolutely, I hope that there is indeed something to be found within the mines.
I'm aware you
I'm
have...
curious.
I beg your pardon.
No,
Fire
that's
ahead.
better, right? I'm curious as well if you have any pertinent information on that note about the region that I should be aware of.
I believe the mine was once a silver mine, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
But as for information on the region, it is commonly overlooked, as the cliffs, the waters near that cliff are quite dangerous. So many
Right.
sailing into Ariel, there will need to be work on putting the port more westernly than southwesternly. And
Right.
I do not know how large of a port we will sustain. It does get battered by the sea winds quite a bit.
Right.
Hence most
But-
of the...
Hmm.
There could be a necessity, though.
I must confess I am no expert when it comes down to matters of the ocean and the sea in general, so I am quite happy to have an expert on the matter come and take a proper assessment of the potential harm,
Maybe for best.
at the very least.
I suppose it depends on these reports. Part of my intent to meeting this was I was made aware by those closer to information with you, by the young Viola and such, as you have room within your means to get message to me if I had met you in some way,
Yes.
shape, or form.
Correct. Let me just check. I do actually have a very... How many people do I have in my book at the moment? Because I can get very direct line communication to this guy.
That's what he's kind of
Uh,
hinting at.
4. Okay, cool. I do actually have room within my book. Yes, actually, as a matter of fact, Cassidy will produce out his book, flip it back across. If you sign your name here, I will be able to contact you at any given moment, any given time. Quite a lengthy conversation.
He withdraws a quill and a small little pot of ink, and it's a very large loops in his name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As usual, it just like whatever they write in there, it just like almost just transforms into the same script as the rest of the book, just very much imprinted in there.
Hmm.
Perfect.
Fanciful
Thank you very much
magics.
for that. Now, I'm most interested in how much do you know of the history of Era Keep and the region itself around it?
I remember. You want to say it is the young master Elias?
Yes, he seems to have left quite the, if you forgive me for saying so, quite the negative impression on the people.
There was rumors that he was experimenting on some of the population. Ariel, as a settlement, once was not massive, not keep withstanding. There were some odd 50 families, population close to 240 all up, with the staff of the keep.
And that diminished entirely.
Diminished to about 12, 10 or 12, and the
Right.
the homes were tore down for supplies mostly. The foundation should still sit for many of them, so building new homes should be quick enough.
Hmm.
I am aware that, I believe, 7 homes or so have been built thanks to your steward's informant.
Yes. And I will, upon reaching the keep again and returning to it, I hope to make an assessment of what has been rebuilt and constructed in the town, and to see what is the first steps to take. I did have a further question, though. Did you intend to send, or do you have the capabilities to send someone a bit more capable as an economic advisor or steward as such?
It was under my impression that your people had sent one up for you.
They have? Right, I was not entirely sure of the full job of the ambassador they sent. But if that is their intended role, then I will be quite happy to have it.
If you arrive and find yourself needing in an area, the crown only wishes to see its territories succeed, and Ariel has been an area of neglect since Elias's passing.
Indeed.
So we can. I'm sure I can help find room in the budget, the old Rickelier, to get grants sent up.
Yes, I've heard he's quite a prickly individual to work with.
I believe the sentiment is an acquired taste, to put it politely.
Quite so. Quite so. But in regards to Era of Keep, I will inform you of any discoveries made there.
Sure. I will send some of my own, if you do not mind, for when you find a report on this mine. You are a young settlement, so perhaps a break in taxation could be made for your mine. Not a sizable one, but to help get you off the ground for the first season or two.
That would be very much appreciated. Any assistance that our settlement could get, being fledgling, it would be very much appreciated. And in general, if there's anything more that I can help with in regards to Arrow Keep or the settling around it, then by all means, feel free to ask or present any solutions or options available.
He leans heavily on his cane to stand up. He goes, I will, Calacindy. You just remember, when your city is nice and larger, June was the one to offer help first.
I remember.
He starts to just kind of give a curt little bow and go, just be excusing me. I'm an older man and I find myself getting tired.
Of course. I would not stand in your way.
Me.
Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, kind of feeling you can get grants, you can get help from the June, but
yeah,
there may be a day when there is a vote or a bill to be passed that you you can get grants and you can maybe get break in taxation, but maybe just think how much you need that, because an elephant never forgets.
Yeah, because you can tell he's just putting on the I'm just an old man, just trying to just pass my day.
It's all for the crown.
Definitely.
It's not.
Oh yeah. Scheming. Okay. Callison just stay there for a moment. Just watch him as he leaves. Just to see his emotions, how he acts.
It's whether an actor or not, you're not sure.
Does it seem put on in terms of his whole leaning on the walking stick?
Give me a perception check or insight check.
Let's go perception. That is 18.
No, it seems genuine.
It seems genuine? Okay. I just wanted to see how much he was faking this whole thing. Okay. Did Cal make friends with these people? Look, friends?
Few and far between. Cal's playing the game.
Acquaintances. Yeah.
He is doing his best to be a politician right now.
He's making allies.
A lot of people are approaching Cal because, for reference, Calacinder is a starless elf, and it comes from a civilization of people who have never been surface dwellers, and now Calacinder is the first ambassador for them ever. So there's a lot of people trying to provide honeyed words and deals and schemes, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. After that, Calacinder will sort of just stand back up, just take a moment, just to think through everything so far. And we'll just sort of reassess the current array of everyone.
Give me a perception check.
I'm gonna really need to take points in my perception just for these one-on-one sessions alone. Okay, that is a 10, all right. 10.
You see a lot of familiar people. It appears that Canondeer has retired. Savelle Regine has shown up. Arakos has retired. You do spot Wes Fared.
Okay. Considering I haven't spoken to him at all, Calacindia will approach Wes Fared.
Yeah. He is, I believe, human. Kind of more militaristic, in very ceremonial, armors, looks like leathers. Got a very much a ceremonial blade by his side, although you feel like it probably can't actually be unsheathed, but it's just for show. Is talking between a few people of
lower nobility, and he does notice you come over, and he kind of stands up very straight. He's got like this long brown hair that's kind of like pulled back into a knot, deep green eyes. He looks at you and he goes, Prince Galicindia, I assume.
Wes Strad, I believe your name is, if I'm not mistaken.
You're well studied at court.
Hardly. Listen to the names being called out. I believe you are the ambassador from Pevendale, or something of that nature.
I am. I find myself graced by the good courts of Burton for now, as I see the young King Everett take the crown.
Right. I hope you found everything here to your liking so far. There seems to be quite a few of us here for the first time, or a bit out of home.
It feels like a lot of us are watching to see what the young king's movements shall be these coming weeks, coming months, and coming year, perhaps.
Indeed. Tell me, I've never quite been to Favendale before. What is it like as a city? Or rather,
It is
a realm.
It is large enough. Most of our main territories do lie within the mountains. And not unsimilar to your people, we are not surface dwellers. Most of us. We have small territories, but south of the Grecan you don't find much of our territories.
Right,
Which is a river.
From my understanding, you've had a number of border conflicts with Rindleton as of late.
Yes, there was a dispute, so to speak, of when your border is also border the road. It's difficult to tell when it grows where the new border should lie. And Rindleton, they're nice people and very quaint. But
Certainly.
we have expanded quite deep below, albeit we do need to look outward, because feeding a city that mostly is within a mountain or subterranean, is difficult if you do not have the resources beneath. You may have to look outward.
Precisely, and forgive me for saying so, but your people are quite new to living below, and probably have not had the time to set up much in the way of agriculture in the world below.
I don't even believe we're categorized as the world below, but you want, I suppose by Elvish terms, yes, we are quite new. Perhaps one of your generations alone, if not even.
Right. I do find myself somewhat curious, and this is something that I have actually been wanting to hear a bit more on in regards to Favendale. You lie in quite close proximity to Mount Ondi and the Paladins.
Similar, yes, I suppose.
What is your... I guess I should say, what is your relations to them?
They're few and far between, to be honest. Mount Ondi is a bit further east than we generally go.
Right.
There is a valley between our mountain, I suppose, in the Ondi Mountains. One of them would be Mount Ondi specifically for the Paladin, the other would be us. That being said, we've not had much conflict with them. They generally... The Paladelves do not seem to wish to form a nation of their own, even. They seem to wish for their one hold.
Indeed. They completely block themselves off, both above and below, from the sounds of things.
I've met a few Paladelves that are open and forthcoming.
Right.
Most of our territory would actually... I'm not sure if you're aware of the history of Pavendale, but it is formerly a giant's hold that was reclaimed.
Really?
It was. The Fist of the Mountain was the title given to the leader of our people when they reclaimed the territory. Strongest
That's
in the
impressive.
mountains. It was after
That's
the
impressive
300-year
indeed.
war. We cleared it out of the
the cobwebs, and they were large, giant, if one would say. But thankfully, the room being said is their halls. We have yet to have a person hit their head on a door frame.
Well, that is one thing at the very least. You don't need to
Stone
be
giants,
size
I
any,
believe. Yeah.
Right.
And a mix,
Right.
but a few.
That is quite a. I guess it's quite a unique place to call your home.
So, it's beneficial. They had a lot of stuff set up for us to take.
Right. But
Excuse me.
no, it's quite all right. There's a few bit of dust around here.
It's,
Um.
I'm not used to the sea air.
Right. Same. But forgive me for asking about the Paladins. I'm curious about potential neighbors and the like.
Potential neighbours, we are quite far away unless you're planning to expand quite far. Or does your kingdom below stretch that far?
We have outposts that stretch throughout the world below,
That
and
is impressive.
informants and reconnaissance that stretches even further.
Impressive. I hope we don't break through, because we still have mining efforts below. I hope we don't
Of course.
break through onto one of your watch posts.
If anything, I was looking as, I suppose, with you a discussion on that matter. I suppose that is something that can come later, but at least at some point to enter into a measure of open discussion with Favendale and my people as to establish some manner of boundaries between how far you proceed into the world below and where exactly it occurs.
I'm sure that's something that can be discussed. I'm not sure of your political lines, so to speak. But perhaps we might be open to some form of trade, as we might have the quickest route. And if there's one thing that Mount Ondi has been, is brimming with gems, jewels, gold, and the like.
Interesting. That is something to be discussed. And, I mean, we do have maps and the like pertaining to the knowledge of the world below and of areas a bit higher than the world below, between there and the surface. So, there's more we can trade with you on the degrees of information and the like.
We did have a run-in with your adversaries, so to speak, I believe. The
Which
ghouls.
Right, the ghouls.
Yes,
I...
those ghouls.
That is one of the dangers of tunneling too far and mining too far. There are a lot of dangers within the world below, the Empire of the Ghouls being the foremost of them, but many others that should not be ignored.
Many, many dangers. Our warriors are bred from humanity's finest.
Indeed.
But
But I hope that you resolved any conflict with the ghouls quite efficiently.
Well, it's quite proficient when you collapse a mine on them.
Right.
There's many avenues
That
of
is-
money, but it was a hole, and so you just have to fill those in, don't you?
Indeed. Just Calzin is just looking at it for a moment. What's his general disposition at the moment?
In what
Is he-
regard? Like to you, to Burton?
Yeah. Oh no, towards Calacinda in the moment.
Give me an insight.
Okay, there's some things that Calacinda is not entirely sure. That's not good. That's a 12.
Hey, world worse. You get that there was a little bit of like a Favendel person very, very does not like it when people try and tell them where their borders may lie. And when they're like, we're expanding below, and you're like, well, we know our borders. And he's like, oh, do you?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there's a little bit of like, fuck about find out energy, but
but that is entirely what he was getting in return. Like,
Yeah.
okay, you want to tangle with us, buddy? You got another thing coming.
Mm.
This is
Yeah. Favendel is
confrontational.
confrontational with most people at best.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But unfortunately, they have a lot of money to back it because Mount Ondai is extremely rich.
Yes. Although Mount Ondai is where the Paladels.
Mount Ondai is that mountain range.
Oh, it's just that whole mountain range. Okay.
Yeah. So Mount Ondai is like, if I was to say on the mountain, like Night Fijuk,
Good night for you.
but I was to freehand it like that is Mount Ondai. Like that range is considered Mount Ondai. Like, there's more like cultural names for like the other peaks and stuff, but that range is like connected.
Mm-hmm.
And Mount Ondai is like, that's like the peak where the Paladels will be.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can assure you that my people do not have any outwardly hostile intentions towards yours at all. Any confrontations that we may have in that area will be, well, solely relegated to any affairs with the Paladels.
I'm glad to hear it. It's don't need another chance to prove our might. And I'm sure you don't either.
Indeed. What?
If
A
you do
pleasure
need
to meet
trade, or if you need able bodies to expand your own minds, just don't hesitate.
Of course. Thank you.
And you get
Very
when he
kind
says
of that
to able bodies, he means they will sell you able bodies.
Yeah. Favendel, because Favendel is
Favendel is the
place with
only current
besides
place.
Serok. Besides Serok.
Well, Serok and Favendel. And Yalzgren.
Yeah.
Technically, Yalzgren would have it as well.
Technically Oscar. Yeah.
But yeah, slave trade is still
Okay.
legal.
Yeah. Right. Well, thank you for such kind offers.
No, you know what
I
they
look
say.
forward to
The strong never rest.
indeed. My people are very busy.
And you,
A pleasure, Westerland.
he gives a nod. Yeah, this
That
like that
looks good.
kingdom's like only 200 years old by your people's standards. Like that's a baby.
Yeah, and he's trying to act like all like tough and mighty.
It's a pretty old kingdom for like humanity, but
Yeah.
and they got a massive lead on the competition by the infrastructure they inherited.
Yeah. Just casually taking over a giant's hold in the mountains. Cool. Yeah. Oh, look, cringe having to construct a city from scratch.
It is cringe, unfortunately. So, where in court draws your attention this time?
Yeah. After sort of bit of a tense meeting. So at the moment, in terms of people who are still around, in terms of people, there's still what's his name? Savar Regime?
Savo Regin and his daughter Elstine.
Savo Regime. Right. Okay. I was trying to think of his. I keep on getting it to Savo.
Yeah, it's purposely. He's named similar to his father.
Yeah. Even if he is a disappointment.
Okay, he wasn't born a disappointment, but he became a disappointment.
He is a disappointment. Yeah. Do they seem to be like socializing with a group at the moment? Like, people surrounding them?
Yeah, kind of just people generally strewn around. Elstine is still just working her way through the entire area. Savo Regin is talking more like openly to a crowd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but very much like operating close to each other.
Yeah, well, no, a decent distance actually at this stage. But
Okay.
you feel like Savo has an eye on Elstine's movements.
Well, in that case, considering he hasn't met her yet, Cousin will try and sort of just like edge his way closer towards Elstine.
She kind of, well, let's see. Yeah, she notices your approach and kind of positions herself that makes herself more approachable, like more open to
Yeah.
new conversation.
Like not hiding herself away, not like
Yeah.
deliberately going into like a conversation to avoid me.
Yeah,
Appreciate it. Yeah.
she gives a
Elstine?
like, very quick curtsy.
His
Prince-
title was King. It was King.
King, yes, he is
Right.
king.
Princess Elstine.
Prince Calacindia. She's half
Pleasure
elven,
to
by
meet
the way.
you. Right. Like our father?
Like our
He's our
father.
one?
Yes.
Yes. Alright. I wasn't sure if it was full Arwen. A pleasure. I heard much about you from your father earlier in the day.
He speaks very highly of me, I hope.
Indeed, very highly. Speaks very true to your capabilities in many ways.
You flatter me, Calasindia.
I speak nothing but the truth.
You speak my father's truth.
That is true. That is true. But
How
how
are
do
you
you
this
find
evening?
yourself? Well, a lot of people meeting for the first time, a lot of people wishing to make their best impressions on a very different guest here at court. But, well, a lot to take in, but well.
You are a very different guest that one none of us have seen before, so it is.
Indeed.
It makes sense, if I must say.
Something of a rare specimen for now.
I hope my brother hasn't been too difficult to deal with at court. My father has spent the day parading around how disappointing he is.
Indeed, I caught at the tail end of beratement of your brother. He doesn't seem to be the fondest of his progression so far.
No. I don't know what you know of the Lothric, but he is still just a boy by our eyes.
Right. By my understanding, from what was explained to me, you must first undertake the was it the void trials? Was the term
Yeah.
used, or
Avoid
you
trial.
must first undertake the void trials before you are considered a full adult?
Yes, it's a unusual custom, but I'm sure that is nothing new
Yeah.
to unusual customs. Is nothing new when you're first on the surface.
Precisely. There's a lot of new customs that I've discovered up here, and yours does not entirely rank amongst the strangest.
Well, I should very much
As-
like to hear the strangest then.
Well, look, to be honest, anything to do with the woad strikes me as very odd and peculiar. I
The woad.
was not entirely fully aware of quite the extent that it operates as an independent entity and the various settlements inside it, and their own rules and customs and cultural practices that vary between them.
You're not wrong. It is an interesting place. We have had expeditions through to Lake Hethspire.
The Catspire. To try and meet with the Eye of Ruin.
Well, he is a being of the outer reaches.
Absolutely.
Not made direct communication, but trying to keep an open
Yeah.
line.
That is admirable, Gon. Trying to connect with an old god is absolutely one of the most respectable things you could accomplish.
I am aware of your customs, that it is centered around an old one.
Indeed,
The dying god.
precisely. I do find myself blessed to be granted with more than the usual stars by him.
You must be quite special, Calasindia.
Or just lucky.
I have done many things in my short life. I'm sure you've done many more in your longer lived, but if my experience has taught me nothing alone is luck very rarely has a part to play, does it?
That is quite true. That is quite true. But in my experience, it's more often than not there's a drive to accompany it. A certain lust for ambition.
Yes, it is the meek and the scorned that blame things on luck and talent when it is drive and ambition that
Indeed.
sets us apart.
Quite so.
But look at me, I'm talking of serious things at court. Should I not be asking you where you got your suit tailored?
Well, actually, it's a bit of a mixed design, a bit of surface and word below. But I have in my travels, come across a very skillful tailor by the name of Olivia, who resides within my keep at Oriel.
It's quite beautiful. I do quite like the colour pattern you have gone for. It does pair well standing next to me.
Indeed. It's quite, I suppose, blends well with the void scars and the void markings.
Void scars. Yes, I suppose you could call them scars.
I do not entirely know what to think of them.
No, I suppose technically they would be considered scars. They are something, a mark of experience, so to speak.
What are they, if I may ask? How they are acquired within the trials?
That is deeply personal information, but all right. Why not? I'm feeling
Adventure on.
as she kind of accentuates, like where the lines of the void are kind of almost glowing in her veins. To complete the void trials, one does have to see into the great reaches. One must imbibe the void salts and live to tell the tale.
What, in character, what does Calisyndia know about void salts as a property? Like, is it like more of a drug type substance, or is it like? Would I know anything about void salts?
Let me tell you to roll a I want to say Arcana. Disadvantage.
Oh, yeah, but Arcana is. Okay, that is a 24.
Okay, so you've only done light reading in your time here. You know that void salt is an item obtained from where the void is actually damaged, where they bring these creatures into existence. It deals a lot of necrosis. Also, the salts themselves shed strands of darkness. It's almost like the opposite of emitting light. It emits darkness.
Okay, that's cool.
Anything that kind of like, if it was to be used in spellcraft, you remember reading briefly about alchemancy, it makes things like the void salts can make a creature restrained by the shadows of the void. So,
Right.
to speak, I had to break the restraints of the void to see further into the Great Reach.
That does sound most interesting, I must admit. So you had to face the void itself, or merely one of the beings from within it?
Both first. First, the creature. One does not simply tackle the void dead on with no stepping stones towards it. The first void trial is to take on your first void creature. Normally a smaller one. Very few succeed the first time. I am among the lucky that managed to tackle my void creature.
Most impressive. And then from there you build up towards eventually...
You harvest your first void salts. And you understand the rituals. You understand the bindings that the void can have on things. You take bits of it into you until you're ready to see beyond.
Right.
To look for the scars in the cosmos.
I must admit, that is a fascinating process, that all of your people do this if they wish to be considered adults.
Within the city of Lothic, we're a small settlement, but very few complete all the trials. Most just complete tackling their first void creature.
Right. But that still implies that most of your people are more than capable at handling a void creature, which by my understanding is no small feat in itself.
That is true. May I show you something? She puts her hands
Of
out.
course.
May I have your hand? Do you give
Absolutely.
your hand with the tattoo on the back is there?
Yeah.
And she
Yeah.
pushes back the sleeve a little bit, and you see almost like the void salts draining from the neck. And you see her hand starts to glow as the salts go through the hand, and you see lining the astrolabe that is your symbol,
Marking.
and then her eyes go like almost full effervescent. I see a lot of scars in this symbol. I see a lot of scars in the cosmos and a lot of scars here on this realm. I'm sorry, I've been up here too long. As all the lines pull back into her and almost like a recharge thing go back around the neck.
What did you do? Did Calson, did he feel any different as that was happening? Or was it like...
You felt like a slight tingling in your hand.
Okay.
And then almost as if something was like a cold breath on the back of your neck.
What was that?
Well, you are touched by something of the great reaches of the cosmos, so I seeked a scar and saw that there was many. But I do not wish to peer into your life too much, so I thought it best to just confirm that they were there. And to show you a little bit of what I can do.
Well, I suppose you've shared somewhat of your own personal story and capabilities of the Void. I suppose you can consider myself as having undertaken my own Void trial as such.
Yeah.
Making direct contact with a great old god is certainly leaves scars, much like your own, but not always displayed.
Don't tell me you're jealous of my colour pattern.
Oh, I must admit, quite suits you.
But you can't. Perhaps if we were closer someday, I could try and help you find these scars.
You were
Set
able
them-
to detect. Sorry.
Set them and make them right. I understand of your people's history that your god was shattered by the Jotuns. And I could instantly trace that scar to the shatters. But I could also feel many, many pathways open up upon that shattering.
Indeed.
You're like game face,
You could-
game face, game face.
Yeah, game is like you could feel, well, as my people would refer to them, shards.
I suppose the same name for a different thing. I could feel scars. Scars in the weave
I
of
see.
magic.
I
It's where
suppose the
it's
I suppose the
overflowing.
destruction. Indeed. From my experience visiting such sites, the weave of magic in those locations is overwhelming to even those who are not experienced in magic can feel their effects.
overwhelming. One must be untrained to find that overwhelming. For me, that is ecstasy.
Well, overwhelming is not necessarily a negative. It is
That's
certainly a lot. But I suppose a feeling of ecstasy is one way of describing it. It is most certainly invigorating. Perhaps one day I can show you one of them, where they lie,
Perhaps
so you may feel it for yourself.
that would be very interesting. I'd find that curious from my trials, and I'm sure my father would object, but perhaps my Savin Rakir could join you. My eldest brother.
Right.
Which I'm going to give you another name that's extremely similar, I'm sorry.
I just heard you say that, I'm like, wait, is that fuck?
Savin Rakir.
This fucking family. Sabine Riquet, the eldest,
the eldest and the next line to be the king of Lothric.
Indeed.
Albeit not considered a prodigy like myself, he is more field tested than I.
Right, right. Do you, if I may ask, do you find yourself idolizing the idea of ruling, or?
I understand what my duty has to be to my family.
Of course, of course. Understood.
She gives you a coy smile and gives a curtsy and says, I notice my father's eyes on me a little long. And I must be
You have many more people to meet with, I'm sure.
too
But
many.
thank you for allowing myself to keep you company for this thing.
As you look over and Savo Regine is like analyzing, like he is very much so sobered up probably in this time, and this is like this is game time. He is making sure the field of play is,
Yeah, emotion.
in motion.
Cassandra sort of just look as she departs. Cassandra sort of just look over at him, and
He
just
raises a glass. What's your passive perception?
Quite high at 20.
So as you look around after that happens, you see Everett has noticed you do this and he is mouthing, "Do we have a deal?"
This motherfucker. Just side eye glance towards him and be like,
Right, we're gonna take a quick 5-minute break. I know it's kind of unusual for a second break, but I gotta pee really bad. So we're gonna take a quick 5-minute. We'll be back in a few. So we're gonna throw up an intermission screen. We'll be back soon.
Okay, short break over. Um, Back at it. So you are in court. You see Everett give you mouthing. Do we have a deal?
Take one for the team. Yeah.
What is your
Yeah.
current motive?
In terms of people, like notable people there who I haven't spoke to yet, who's still around?
You've talked to everyone of note now, of like main notes.
Okay.
It's mostly if you just
Main
want to
notes.
like now that we're at the evening, this is like before the final meal. This is your chance to get like any last words in, lasting impressions. Think of who you want as allies, potential future, because you don't know when you're going to get them again. Think of who you want to invite to RIL, because you will eventually have to hold court soon. Think of how you want to do this.
Yes. In regards to Joaquin, they're all gone.
Everybody now is now flooding in for the final dinner.
Right. Okay. So this is like the point. It's actually like turning into more of a dinner situation at the moment.
The tables
Okay.
have been brought out. People are being ushered into the grand dining hall.
Yeah. Is there like placed seating arrangements and everything?
There is to start, but then after the meal sort of being had, people are getting up and talking, moving around.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The only thing that's
Constantine
different
will
is the
try-
head table that has Everett, has Theo, has like some of the Burton, like it has
Yeah.
like the heads of the military. It has Najum, like it's the Burton ambassadors.
Right. Okay. First of all, Constantine wants to seek out trying to
Canondeer?
think of the right one.
Sav-
What?
Savorigin.
What name? What name did you put out?
Canondeer? The Jorkin?
No, Kennedy will come, but
Savorigin.
the king, Savorigin.
Not Savarajot or Savin Rakir.
I hate this family. I hate this fucking family. But I love them, but I hate them.
Wait, do you hear of his other brothers?
I don't want to know them, Des. I never want to meet them.
Okay, so you meet it.
But yes,
He is sitting next to his daughter, Elstine, there, kind of talking his few, like, kind of like, not so much, like some minor nobility, some representatives of Lothic, like his own people. He sees you come over and he goes, well, Prince Galasindir.
King Savorigin.
Prince, as he ushers one of his aides and they stand up and they make room for you.
I know that this is perhaps a bit premature considering the state of, well, what I'll be discussing, but at Era Keep, I am trying to accumulate something of a court there, or at least people that represent interests within the region of note. I would very much be honored if I could host a ambassador of the sort from your people within my court at Era Keep, just to ensure a bit more of an open form of communication between us and for the future.
It's an interesting proposal, Prince Galasindir. What role would you have it fulfilled? Tell me of your keep, tell me of your intent.
Well, at the moment it is, I don't know how much you're aware of the state of RIL, but it is rather underdeveloped at the moment, but I intend to see it brought up to the same standard as the rest of the regions of Burton. At the moment, the keep itself has finished its reconstruction, and the surrounding area is being repopulated once again. Hopefully, we'll have mines flowing once more, the farms around it, and perhaps even a harbour moving into the future. It is my intention to see it grow into something a bit more worthy of my people's base here on the surface. At the moment, it is a small contingent of stylists there, but that will only grow moving into the future. It is my hope that it will be something of a hub for our efforts to be more present here on the surface world. But that is something far looking into the future, I'm sure.
So, can you give me our first very much a weighty persuasion roll based on what you said? I'm going to set that at a modest DC of 15.
Yeah, like there's not really much for Arrowkeep at the moment. It's more like what will be happening.
Yeah, you're trying to sell the idea.
Yeah. Yes, that's a natural fucking 20. For a total of 28.
Well, I tell you this, my ambassadors are perhaps something that's not something I'm ready to part with yet, but my thirdborn, he's undertaken his first void trial and is studying to be treated a man full. My youngest, Seville Relil. I will send him to be a ward at your court.
I hate these names, Des. I hate these names. Why are you doing this to me?
You asked for one.
Seville Relil.
Not Savin Rakir, not Savarajat or Savovirgin. He is
Perfect.
strong in his ways, but he needs to experience the world a little more before he is ready to take on the last of the void-seeking trials.
Absolutely. If there is anything that you would have me have him do during his lordship, feel free to
Temper him well, don't let him run amok. Don't let him be a Savarajat.
Well, I can certainly tell you that much. I'll make sure that he is given the best that we have, but also put through the paces, so to speak.
Have your people train him well. This can show us what your starless training can look like in a perhaps more concrete alliance. As his large, meaty hand, he reaches out and almost grabbing by the forearm, gives it a shake. As there's Prince Calasindu.
What were you saying, Sir Des?
You look over and you get like there's a little bit of frustration that Elstine didn't get to go. She's like, like.
Sir Regine, I hope this is the start of quite a long-term relations between my people and your own. I think we have much to learn from each other. And much to benefit.
Our interests perhaps align. We both look into the great reaches of the beyond. We are not afraid of it.
No, certainly not.
He gives you a nod.
Elstine?
Prince Calasindu.
Stand up. Sort of just scanning over everyone again. Let me just go through. I just need to like refresh.
You got a lot of names. Take your time.
I've got a lot of names.
You're doing phenomenal, I will say, for having so many names.
Look, the main thing that's tripping me up is these fucking family.
These fucking Lithonians.
These fucking Lithonians. And you know what? I just made it worse myself, being like, you know what? You're the ones. You're the ones I want. What's his name? Rinderton. Arakos. That's it. Arakos. So there's Arakos, Canondir. Now, Canondir spoke of the whole ward thing with me, correct?
He said, "Think about it. I want you to come to me as someone."
Right. Okay. So that's so there is already something there that we've already got lined up.
Yeah.
Okay. And I feel like that's already pretty cleared up. I already resolved any sort of bad impressions he had, and changed that completely around. So Calasindu will try and look for Arakos if he's around.
You find the tiefling boy.
Question: is Westfarad like around or like observing?
He's around. He can definitely see.
Okay, then I would like very obviously sitting with the Rindleton person.
Why he chose the uncool kids table? He does make note of it.
Yeah. Look, that guy there, Favendale, they have no respect for anyone else. Like,
no, they don't for anyone else.
No, that is.
They just have the opinion of might makes right. So like,
Yeah.
Why the fuck not?
Look,
So, you sit down. Prince Galicinder, I hope
Okay.
court has treated you well today.
it has. It's been most a productive day at court, I must admit. Tiring. There has been a lot of people to meet, and a lot of names and important people, business to be discussed, and the like. But I like to think it's gone well.
I like to keep a list in my lapel. As he pulls, there's like a list of names he has, just like, quick.
That is very smart. Usually, for me in the world below, it's a bit easier. I grew up memorizing everyone, a bit more of an insular gathering as well. Everyone's from the world below, which is more a matter of memorizing family names and symbols, sigils, and the like. But
I'm sure you're not even
that's
used
not
to
a
the
bad
symbols.
idea.
There are some ridiculous ones. There's a mercenary company near us that mocks both myself and Favendel.
What is this symbol?
That's so he points to like you see the fist of the mountain on
Yeah.
on west, and he points to like the knighted the war horse with the knight on it. He goes, so you
Yeah.
take off the knight, and you have this war horse. You take one of those gauntlets and stick it on each of its hoofs.
What? That's absurd. Why would anyone choose that?
They became a mercenary company when we had a bit of a spat between ourselves and Rindleton. They were profiting off both sides and made the symbol as a
Right.
mockery of it.
That sounds ridiculous, but I suppose
It's actually quite comical. I have to admit.
I mean, look, if I see anyone with it, I'll probably get a laugh out of it, but the idea of it sounds comical.
It was designed as such, but yes, unfortunately.
Well, I just wanted to, I suppose, put forward a suggestion or an idea that, to you and to Rindleton in general. If you do intend to want to make any further connections to the world below, I'll be more than happy to host any representative of you or your kingdom at my court at Ariel Keep. At the moment, it is still a rather fledgling location, but I fully intend for it to grow into a proper seat of my people here on the surface.
I believe your wizard that came through here said there was an ambassador brought through. The Tara Din woman, I believe.
Yes.
My youngest sister is I can't act without my father's permission, but I'm sure she would serve as an excellent lady in waiting for your ambassador. Learn the ways of courtship from her. Her name is Rini.
Really? Right. That would be an honor to accept her. Certainly above and beyond what I was anticipating, so thank you for that.
So, thankfully it's an easy name, Rini Rindle.
Rini Rindleton. Easy. Straightforward.
Just Rindle.
simple.
Rindleton is the name of the kingdom. Rindle is
Easy. Des, you're just making it easier and easier. This family, I like their names.
Arakos Rindle.
They're
Like,
approved.
yeah, you actually, what you would pick up with your own sort of like insight, the fact that his name is Arakos, he is the only Rindleton without a first name, the only Rindle without a first name that begins with R, and that's because he's a tiefling.
Okay. Can I just do an insight check just to pick up like his general disposition towards Calasindia?
Give me an
Just
insight.
general attitude. Okay, that's a 14.
Yeah, there's like kindred spirits. Both he's used to being an outsider in every court he visits. And you're an outsider in this court, so he sees a kinship in you. While yours will probably fade with time, his won't.
Yeah. But at least it's been like in his mind forged now.
Yes.
That is most kind of you. I would be more than happy to host her at my court.
Pending my father's approval, of course.
Of course. I more than likely will be passing through Rindleton within the coming weeks, so
Well, then,
if
before you
I may
leave tonight,
have to
I
meet
will
your father.
write a letter for you and sign it with my own stamp. It would
fantastic.
legitimize an audience with my father.
Perfect. That would be most gracious of you. Tell me, what can you tell me about your sister?
She is young. She's a girl of only 8, but she can learn a lot.
Does she have Any particular talents of the like that you would want to see fostered, or?
Just teach her the ways of court is what you'll have to discuss this more with my father, but I think it's a good place to start. Generally speaking, it's mostly teaching the ways of court, for a lady in waiting. She can learn from your ambassador. As you said, I believe your ambassador is from a noble house anyway. So nobility...
Tarandir?
Tarandin.
Tarandin. Yes, I must admit, the Tarandin family are most dutiful and very well practiced courtiers. She'll be in good hands.
It's not unheard of. I'm not sure how it works in the world below, but commonly in the surface, the children of one family are sent to the courts of other nations or families to bolster relations and learn the ways of nobility.
Right. Less common, more so between families, as we do not have different nations. So, similar concept, I suppose, but still.
Bring it up with my father, and the letter of recommendation should... Albeit I have no chance of... well, many of my brothers must be in line with the throne before me, but my opinion is valued, I hope, with my father.
Well, at the very least, hopefully I can further influence any decisions of his once I meet him.
I wish you nothing but luck.
Just reach out to sort of shake his hand.
Shakes your hand. Much more gentle and sophisticated than Severgian's full arm shake.
Just full on, full on testing.
Yeah, testing your strength.
Yeah. That was into a stand up. Do people seem to be approaching Everett and sort of
Yeah, people are approaching.
Saying something, or is he a bit more?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is kind of just it's Everett's not getting up to approach people, but people are approaching Everett.
Yeah. So he's at a table with Theo, him.
Savarajot is at the very end. Reichlier is there. There's a few faces you don't recognize, like Lord of the Banks in the area, representative of the guilds of Burton.
I mentioned what's his other sister called?
Kazori. She's there as well.
Kazori. She's there as well. Okay. We come to a cinder will still approach Everett.
I hope your day is going well. Hope it is.
Well, I mean, look, it has certainly been a full day here at court. I won't lie to you, it is a lot to get back into after several years of not having to deal with this.
I don't envy you. In fact, I think several years off could do me a world of good. What can I do for you, Callus?
Look, if you do get a few years off, spend them better than I spent them.
Well, if I spend them... Sorry, this is Theo. Theo goes, well, if you spend them right, you won't remember them.
I didn't remember them, and I don't think I spent them right.
Well, you just did it wrong, then. Also, you recognize at this stage, Reichlier's his nose is busted up, his face is bullet. Theo has bloody knuckles.
Yeah, he is there. There. Okay. Yeah. I'm curious, does he look at Callus? Because Callus wasn't there when they went to the treasury to do all that. But does he still look at Callus and do does he
still actually he does give it a knowing look, but he saw Merkin. He's Reichlier knows who's done it. He doesn't think Callus India was in on it.
Yeah. Okay. But thank you for I suppose being so welcoming me here at court, Everett.
Well, you are an ambassador. It would look suspicious if you never attended court.
I suppose it would. I mean, I expected a few more pointed comments from those who know more, but thankfully, as you told me, everyone was indeed on their best behaviour.
Well, if they weren't, I would have hoped you would have told me, and they would have been promptly removed from the room.
I do intend to, after we resolve the business at Zakia, to return to Arrow Keep. Was there anything that you wished for me to bring there, or anyone you wished to bring with me, or any duties you wish for me to perform there?
Now that you do mention it, I think we could come to a conclusion. You could bring Elstine. Final offer.
I knew that was coming.
I'm sorry, it's just the low-hanging fruit is just so tempting.
What's Theo's reaction to that? Is he
Theo's
just like,
giggling because, like, it is like the known secret of pretty much everyone at that table, bar like maybe one or two, that Theo and Everett are wed. Like, they don't wear their rings,
Look.
but they're in secret.
I'm still contemplating that offer. I suppose it would go somewhere in my odyssey.
Get a grant from the
But-
crown for the wedding. That's Theo and him just get in like a little fit, and people start looking. They're just like kicking each other's head, but like, no.
I suppose. Yes. Right. I mean, at the very least, I have been made the offer to host. What is his name?
Seville Relil.
Vilverlil, the third born of the family. So who knows what will come of my connection to the Lithonians. I very may well take that issue off of your hands.
The grant is there if you need it. Just send me what you wish for your present.
Indeed.
You will have it tenfold.
I discussed this matter very briefly. A bit heavier topic, I suppose, but I discussed it briefly with your two commanders over there. The issue of Finver. They informed me that they wish to make a petition. Well, one of them was petitioning on the behalf of your brother.
This again,
Yeah.
yes. I heard it.
Once again,
what
I
are your
do
opinion,
not-
Calicindia? You think
I
we should
wish
go in?
to. I wish to go in with my own group, at least first, to find out what we can. I do not entirely know when that will be, but hopefully it will not be too far away. But I intend to raise this whole issue with them, and see if we can manage an expedition of our own, which at the very least could ease the whole petitioning.
That would be helpful. I was expecting perhaps eventually you would want to do it, as it was your information. And the blockade came from you all, so.
There would be no issues with us entering, I assume.
I can grant you a writ of passage.
Right.
Quick enough.
Will that be
Just let me
arranged?
know when you need it.
Right. I will. And once more, to continue the more heavier topics, the issue of the Lich that destroyed Illusphere. I assume you've had no sightings or reports.
Not none, but they're fleeting and few and far between. There is teleportation around the realm that appears to be possible for them. So it's difficult.
That is something that we will very much need to look into, my group. But it will be a most difficult endeavor. And I am hoping to gather what knowledge we can before we enter anything there and find what support we can. But that is something I do hope that we will also be able to resolve for you in the not too distant future.
Thank you. It all just makes me look better. I'm sure the ambassadors will spin it as my idea.
Absolutely, as they should. But just to inform you of, from what I gathered from your commanders, two issues that they had on their minds.
So
that I hope I could-
as you're saying all of this, John looks, because he's sitting like 2 seats down from Everett, like not in on this conversation, just kind of just finished his conversation, heard this, and he goes, "Well, I'm sure the trade and commerce of the region would benefit most aptly, my king. I think we could, if the
the Kingfishers could deal with this problem for us, we could grant them however long we were expecting to fund the blockade as grant for their keep. And there it goes. What an excellent idea, Nojon. You are wise beyond your years, much so more than I. I do not know what I would do without you. Yes, so, Calasindia, we have a few more months set aside, a few more weeks, really, set aside for funding the blockade, but they don't fund themselves. So,
Right.
if you finish it before then, you can have the balance as a grant for RIL.
That is, I must admit, most generous offer. I will certainly have to raise this with the rest of the Kingfishers and see how they feel about it, but I would very much wish to undertake it, preferably within the coming month.
You talk... I don't like to talk numbers. You'll have to ask Ryclea for the exact number.
Right.
The Treasury, it is
I
at the Treasury's expense.
Right. Probably best if I handle that conversation.
Yes, there is a knowing look instantly. Yes, that would be best.
Yes. I think definitely best.
Liam, thank you so much. As you feel like probably one of Everett's most important advisors for stuff is Nojon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He
I can't
helps
pick that
him.
up.
He kind of helps him make like the decisions that are like the ones that can gain him a lot of favor.
Yeah.
It's like, think
Yeah.
about it. If he reclaims Thin Vale, stops the blockade, yeah, the money was already pretty much spent in the budget, so just spend it, and then it also builds it. Yeah, it's a strong decision.
Yeah. Yeah.
As this is kind of coming on, Ryclea looks at me and goes, "Hey, I have my name," and they go, Nojon goes, "On Ryclea." Kind of grimaces on his face a little bit. What exactly was left in the allotment for funding the blockade as of now? As he kind of brushes his thin hairs over a little bit. And you very much so see Ryclea kind of change, and probably very good with numbers, starts doing a lot of calculations in his head.
Yeah.
It's not an exact number, but you're talking, we got about 6 weeks left from today is what we wanted to budget on it, because you guys have been taking a little bit longer than we had hoped. Just gotta put that out there. But for all the ships, all the food, all the many soldiers we had to feed, you're talking about 800 a week.
Right.
So every week you don't do it, if what I'm hearing is correct, you lose about 800 a week off that grant. 800 gold, by the way. Not electrum, not platinum.
Right. Of course, I assumed gold. That is the default.
The standard. But my Prince Calasindia, that is 8 by 6 is 4,800 gold left in the kitty, so to speak.
Right. Perfect.
And that could do pretty well to build you some walls. I know a couple of guys. If you need I see kind of looking very like he's on his best behavior. We got a couple people in the construction industry that we know of, and if you need walls built or roads, I'm sure I can make that 4,800 go a little bit further.
That is most kind of you. Okay, thank you. That is indeed something I was speaking to. What's his name?
Nojon.
Lejeune about was the construction of such things, particularly the roads through to Brendanwell. So absolutely, that would be.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure the roads are mostly like horse and people shit.
Yes, I did have the unfortunate pleasure of traveling along them. But thank you.
The bright side, you can pave the roads yourself that way. That's him and Theo laugh a lot. No one else.
Oh fuck! This is such like a weird table of people. Like it's just such a weird collection.
That's a fantasy world for you. Like Ryclea is a awful human being, but a savant with numbers and a savant with money. And he, like, as you kind of got there, he knows a lot of people, and he can make the money go a little bit longer.
Yeah. Someone who is needed, but like you don't really
no
want
one
him,
likes him,
but you need him. Yeah. Really? I don't believe we've met before, but thank you.
No, you were there when
such an offer.
Macessiel and Zamani were coming through.
Right. Yes, they intended to change the money.
Yeah,
To my
yeah.
knowledge. With the election drove through. I hope that went well.
Well, look, as said ever, we're not a bank, and we don't just like exchange stuff for free. But I sent them onto a reputable. Zamani didn't mind the rates, but we got wages to pay. We got people to do. And never just goes really just stop. My leash.
Very well. Anyway, Everett, enjoy the rest of your evening.
Do my best.
I'll find my place here and settle down for the rest of the night's discussions and activities and whatever befalls me.
So, as you realize, that means I believe when this happens, we are on like I would say the 8th of Yarndar or so. In game, roughly.
Maybe I don't.
Yeah, because it started on the 6th.
AJ.
No, so we started on the 6th and we literally teleported. So we're at 8th or 9th at best.
Yeah.
So week-wise, you got 6 weeks and 800 gold gets taken from the pot. But you can still do it in like 3 weeks and get a fair bit of money. You can still get
exactly
2,400 gold.
That's not bad at all. Just walking down to like where Alcindor is like seated. I'm curious, like where does he find himself and like who is he surrounded by?
You find yourself among a lot of like the upper nobility of Burton, on a table with a lot of the ambassadors. So you're there on a similar table with there's a seat for Verod, but he's already gone. There's a seat for Sava Rajad, Steen, Arakos. You're kind of at the political ambassadors table.
Okay. So I'm with. Yes, I've basically just gone from.
You've done a round on your it's a long table, but you've kind of done a round, because it's not just the ambassadors; it's all the ambassadors' advisors and family, and
Yeah. So I've just I started with Lithonians and I've just ended up near them again.
You've gone full circle.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else you wish to speak to before we end?
I'm just trying to go through the list of everyone I've been to. Arakos.
The only one you haven't really is to Canondeer.
Yeah, you know what? He would make just one final call past Canondeer. They had a pretty conclusive conversation, but he'll just call through just to pay him a visit, pay respects.
Canondeer.
Canondeer.
How are you doing?
Not too bad. Glad it's almost the end to the day, but I suppose I wanted to thank you for a very productive meeting before. As well as very much an insight into Joaquin.
You're more than welcome. I am trying to be helpful when I can.
I have considered in what brief time I have about your decision about the potential award. And personally speaking, it is something that I would very much like to pursue. But as I said, I must speak to my mother. But if I am convincing enough, that is something that I would like to see through. In regards to a reciprocal to that, potentially for the time being, at Erau Keep, I would be honored to host someone of Joaquin there for the time being, whilst we come to our complete plans for shared wardship.
Well, if Everett doesn't consider my proposal for my son, I have someone in mind. If not, if he does, I'll have to consult with someone. I'm sure we can find a capable curator or sentinel looking for tutelage outside.
Right. I wanted to ask you one more thing, I suppose, on the same topic, but addressing your brother on it. This idea for the wardship was his, was it not?
It was.
Right. How open do you feel he would be towards us, at least temporarily, until formal plans can be drafted to at least host Viola at Keep.
I can't speak for my brother on that matter. I'm sure you'll speak to him tonight or on the morrow. It's if you are to try and make the argument, of course, its main reason for bringing Viola home was to continue study, so you'll have to provide a reason as to how she would continue her studies while under wardship, especially if you are not going to be at Rael yourself. She'll have to be under somebody.
All right. I'll see what I can do there. Well, I mean, I do plan to pack some ginger snap biscuits to at least help persuade him a little bit. But that is good to know at the very least.
Unfortunately, he does love his daughter more than his cookies, so it won't be a straight deal.
Well, at least it will soften him up a little bit.
Maybe get 2 boxes.
A steep price. But
The burdens we must carry.
Indeed. But I thank you for at least providing me with a bit more of an insight into a complicated individual to try and read.
He reaches out with one arm, and then he stands up and with all arms gives you an embrace.
The Joaquin hug.
And he does whisper, he goes, "This is quite the honour for Joaquin, as we fully leave ourselves defenceless like this, so it is a sign of respect." Hugs are very important to the Joaquin.
Okay, that's kind of cool. I like that.
No, because like they always have arms at the ready, so taking them all onto one person, that's a big sign of respect.
Yeah, that's very much something like, okay, I trust you enough to like let my defenses down.
Yeah,
okay,
all of them.
Yeah, counts into respects then. Well, you do me a great honor, kind of do. I must say it has been a pleasure to meet you, and I hope that we have many more meetings in the future.
You're more than welcome. He sits back there. So,
we'll probably for the rest of the evening at his chair and just try to make conversation. Probably, you know, a bit towards the Lithonians as well, considering made a bit of a connection there.
Yeah, your general standing with Lithonians is going quite well. I will say that's where we're going to end today, as these decisions will make knock-on consequences who's going to be an ARL. But very, very cool. This has been a lot of fun. I've been loving these one-on-ones, and this roleplay's just been good fun. We got to do more of these when we get the chance. Other than that, though, we're going to stop and chill for just a little bit because we're still doing it. If you check out our Patreon, if it's within your means, $5 a month. We're doing D&D December. We're releasing a subclass and a race every week through the month of December. We've already done 4. The 5th will go live, and the last ones will go live this Thursday. After that, we're going to put out a booklet of all of them together.
Yeah.
The Joaquin's already up there if you want to see it.
Yeah, I was going to mention, it's also worthwhile to mention that we've got the Joaquin up there if you want to see more about them, or the Starless, like Callus India.
Yeah. It's all pretty gamer. If it's within your means, if you can sub to the channel, means great. Or if you just like what you saw, if you like this silly little roleplay, just go ahead and give us a follow. It's been a lot of fun. We don't have anyone we usually raid, so I'm not sure where to go.
I'm just trying to have a look at the moment.
If anyone has something in the chat that they want to say, direct the raid, we can do that. Otherwise, we might just end it here.
This is a very strange time for us to be streaming. So
not even, but it's more the fact that no one who's people who normally are at this stage aren't on either.
Yeah,
it's just a strange time of year. But we're going to throw up an ending screen. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for coming and hanging out this close to the holiday season. I hope you had a great one. But we're going to end. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Bye.
Hopefully we'll see you again.